Hey everyone, welcome to this week's version of Budget Banking. I'm your host, Chris, with my beautiful, lovely wife, Beck.
Hello, hello.
And we're here. We got a brand new camera in the studio. We're really excited about today's discussions. We just rolled off Easter weekend.
I know. It was such a nice holiday.
It was an amazing
really
holiday.
I know. We love to host, and we hosted this year.
We did.
So we enjoyed it.
Only 2 days of prep this year. We did some, I say we. You did some braised short ribs.
I did the majority of the prep this year, yeah. We had some braised beef short ribs that I slow cooked and shredded.
That we had left over from a previous holiday.
I made a home. Well, they weren't left over. It was
not
really nice meat that we had frozen, which we never do. But it wasn't like, we used to.
We have leftovers from 2 months ago in the fridge that we used.
No, not at all.
Welcome to Extreme Budget Banking,
where you try not to die from diseased food.
Wow, what a great way to start.
But we were going to talk a little bit about, budgeting and shopping for holidays or just really any event that you host. I mean,
right,
I think it makes a huge difference if you have a food budget and you're like, okay, this week we're hosting, let's just stick with Easter. It's a holiday where you're having maybe friends, maybe family over, and you have to account for potentially spending more money on groceries to host that event, as well as still get you through the week,
Exactly. So if you have a budget of, let's just say $100 for that week, and this new event, you're providing all the food, you're not doing a potluck, and your bill's going to be $250. Where does the $150 come from?
Right, exactly. So it's important to talk about it and also understand where that money's going to come from in advance. But I think for us, we typically do pull from our food account, and it might just mean that on a week of hosting a holiday for friends and family, we aren't going out as much, or we aren't, spending money on cocktails. We'll have some sort of sacrifice so we can really make it special for those that we love.
That's very true. And in this case specifically, I want to say that we spent a little bit over 2/3 of our weekly food budget just on Easter this year.
Yeah, and we're the type of hosts, this is an interesting conversation piece. We're the type of hosts that want to supply everything. We'll have the drinks, we'll have the food. We typically don't ask people to bring dishes. This year I did let my mom bring dessert because she was insistent.
It was delicious.
She wanted to help, which was so sweet. But normally I'll cook everything, you do the decorations. And I think another part of it is that, there's an investment if you're going to host an event for the first time too, especially if it's a themed event. Like we did Easter for the last 3-4 years now. And so we've got a lot of the decor. And in the past, it's been a discussion of like, how are we going to, pay for the decorations that we
ended up taking some of those decorations out of house account. Sometimes, on certain holidays like Halloween, I end up pulling out of my pocket a little bit because I love that one.
Because he likes Halloween. I don't really care if we have
Christmas,
Halloween decorations.
You end up pulling out of your pocket a little bit. But, Easter is one of those where we're both celebrating and we kind of make a couple lists like, hey, we're going to get a few things. And you're right.
I know, which we've determined speaking of making lists, no, I was going to talk about the grocery list, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But what I was going to say is that if you're going to host an event, I think you really need to do a good job of setting expectations in advance. Like I have so many friends, they joke, but there's one of my girlfriends is like, we have these friends that like always want to host, but they literally supply nothing. So you're pretty much just like at their house and they're like, bring your own beer and we're going to like
bring a dish to share.
Like, well, bring a dish to share or we'll make hot dogs. And it's like, Costco, like bulk hot dogs that they've been using. Speaking of things in the freezer. But I think that it is really important that, how you go to an event and expect to enjoy yourself is the same way that you're presenting your own home when you have people over.
Right. And so in this case here, we actually told everyone that was attending, hey, this is what we have drink wise. Right. So one of the things that can get really expensive, we talked about this when budgeting, when going out to eat, is always alcohol. Alcohol is very expensive. And, when we do our events, we do supply, whether it's high noons or claws or
seltzers, beers and liquor. But let's say, if you don't have, we don't have what you want, bring it. We've got wine.
Bring your own.
But yeah.
So we typically don't go out and do special orders by any means, but we do. Well, it depends. Some people come, we do.
It was so embarrassing the other day, you guys. We typically do have liquor, and we had these people over who have never been to our house before. This is terrible. So we have this is so off topic, but we have this like vodka, and I was playing a practical joke on our family, and I switched the bottle of Patron and I put a grapefruit vodka in it just to mess with them. And when this guy came over the other day, he was like, oh, I'll have vodka. Do you have any vodka? And we looked in our cabinet. And we were like, oh my God, we don't have any. And I looked at Chris. I was like, this is really awkward. I was like, we do have vodka. It's in a Patron bottle. I was playing a joke on someone, and he was kind of like smelling it, like, oh, do I trust you?
Like, who are these people? They moved their liquor from bottle to bottle.
It was so weird.
That was probably pretty embarrassing.
He drank it, and he probably thought,
and he thought it was amazing.
No, he probably gave it 24 hours and was like, okay, I didn't die. Like, what was
We're
that?
building concoctions.
But anyway, so we go out and we get the ingredients that we need, which this year was quite hilarious because I did most of the grocery shopping, but then
but you were like, hey, can you pick up a few things? And I go to the store, and I know those listeners that are there who can feel this. You send your significant other to the store.
Mainly the woman sends the man. I mean, if the woman's going to the store, like they're gonna get it right.
So here we are, guys. We're out. We're going to the grocery store, and we have a list, and we both have iPhones. We have notes, and I'm looking at this notes, and the note says, 2% milk, no size, right? So obviously, I'm going to be like, hey, what size are you looking for? Do you need a pint, a half, a gallon? Like, I don't know what's in the thing. So I message, hey, please, what do you want? And I'm messaging, and I'm getting crickets. I'm getting nothing else. I go to the almonds. You said I need slivered almonds, and I look at this bag of slivered almonds. I go, we have never, ever had a bag of slivered almonds.
I needed whole milk, and I need sliced almonds. But he bought what the list said.
But you get in that thing where you're like, okay, this is a no-win situation. If I go with what I know we always get, and I get home, you're gonna say I specifically said slivered. I brought home the slivered, and you're like, yeah, I have no idea what slivered almonds are. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I actually returned them yesterday. But
oh, nice. And I wanted black cherry White Claw. He got blackberry. That also went back to the store. But sometimes we joke that men intentionally buy the wrong things, so they just never have to go back to the store. I
usually just buy extra. Like, I'm at the store, and I'm just like,
if
you can't.
Sees a
if I'm
BOGO,
hungry,
he's buying it. And he comes home, and I'm like, why?
I am a BOGO, fanatic.
I hate having crap in our pantry, so that drives me
Really?
nuts.
Because I just got 2 things of Cheez-Its.
That was okay.
Those were BOGOs.
The one BOGO. We can confirm a Cheez-It BOGO on any
Cheez-It BOGO is a go. So.
It's a BOGO. Anyway, so we were laughing with my family on the day of with the grocery list because I had to tweak the menu a little bit with what he came back with. And my dad was drinking rum and Coke, and I didn't even know it until the day of. He was like, oh, there's Coke Zero downstairs. And I was like, why would you buy Coke Zero? And he's like,
put Coke Zero on the list. And I was like, are you sure you want Coke Zero?
I never put that on the list.
Maybe your dad wants Coke Zero or something along those lines. So, what's interesting, you just said it very briefly, which was, we return the slivered almonds, right? And I think a lot of people who shop or get something, they'll actually go back and say, I bought this, and they'll keep it. But you can take that back to the grocery store. There's nothing, if you buy something, don't feel that you have to have it. Like, return it. Like, that's, $4 or $5, which is a significant amount.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, we have an interruption in the room. Our French bulldog just came in here. Ethan, do you mind telling her to go lay down in her bed? Pepper, go lay down.
Sorry about that,
We've got
everyone.
A snorting animal.
Here we go. I'm not sure why
go ahead,
she came, but she's here.
Poor little girl. Because I brought her to the office because she is a family member, and we love her dearly.
And we do love her.
She was just under the table. He was like pushing her out of the way. I had to interrupt the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did have a really good Easter. We returned those items, and you can use it towards your next grocery trip. Why keep something that you're never going to use?
Well, what's so funny is that
nothing perishable.
You said, "Where's the Coke Zero?" And the few days before, I'd asked Ethan in the office. I said, "Hey, Ethan, you said Coke Zero, right?" So I was like, I repurposed him for the office.
Maybe that's why they were on the list. It was probably you.
It wasn't me.
I don't know.
Actually, now that you think about it, maybe I did put the Coke Zero on there.
I think so. You must have.
I think maybe I did.
There you go.
It could have been.
You got you some Coke Zero. But we had some other exciting jitters going on in the house about a little bit of renovations, so we can talk about that.
Just this last year, we actually broke out our renovation budget into multiple. I think we had one budget item that included a few.
We had our house budget,
and
then we used the house budget for some renovations. We were putting a little bit of additional money inside of the house budget, and then we decided to do a specific budget for renovations because somebody was choosing to get renovations.
Well, the problem is that sometimes
you put
your
air
house
conditioning
budget,
in the garage. It's like that's not the renovation I would have chosen to do.
When you have a house budget, and even though you put those items in there, and that budget's building up over time, that it's kind of skews you because like you have renovations built in that. So this last year we actually pulled renovations out into its own account. And so that's been building up, and we would like to get, we have a queen bed. And so all you out there who are mattress shopping or trying to get like it's amazing how expensive a bed is.
Well, we've talked about getting a bed, and let's just back it up for a second because it was always going to be something that we were going to do. I was very aware of how expensive bedding, a bed frame, sheets, pillows,
and I feel like I've just never bought a bed.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I feel like I've either gotten hand-me-downs. I know you were joking because I bought a bed and I paid like $100 for it. It was like a foam mattress or something that exploded when it
didn't explode.
No, it comes in a packed roll.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you cut
yeah,
it
yeah,
and it
yeah.
kind of explodes.
But it was not
and
purple.
Expands.
There are some
it wasn't purple.
Casper's good, purple's good, but this is not that.
Yeah, this was like a Wayfair
one.
special or something. I think
Definitely. But we talk about renovations. I think it is really important that people put money aside and discuss kind of what they're saving up for next. We always have like the next big project or thing that we want where we're on the same page about what that's going to be and we're going to save up for it. This time we ended up getting the mattress probably a little bit early, but it's because Bree, your daughter is going to be moving into her very first apartment, and which is super exciting. And we said we would give her what we weren't going to use since we were planning on doing this anyway.
And she's all about budget baking and budgeting. And her thing was, hey, I think it's time that you guys do some spring cleaning, get rid of things, and then like really build boxes. So, she's getting ready to end the semester here and move into her first apartment. And so we had already pledged her like a year ago, I think, said, hey, we were planning to upgrade to a king. We'll go ahead and give you the bed frame and everything for the queen, and we're going to move some mattresses around and give you this one mattress from this room and kind of get you on your feet and started.
Because furniture can be so expensive. I mean, I remember my very first place that I ever lived in, I had a card table for my kitchen table. Like it was...
I think everyone had a card table for their kitchen table.
Really?
I don't know. I think these days with like Wayfair and some of these other discount places, you can get some really good quality stuff at a really good price. That's starter. But you're right. Like
it's still expensive. I mean, I've furnished many homes, I feel like.
What's really funny is that, speaking of hand-me-downs and stuff, the very first kitchen table I had was like this 9 or 10 foot round table.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. So,
I don't know if I ever had a home that
but it was free.
Something that
I know it was like the exact opposite. Like most people have like this little teeny table. I had this super large table that could fit like 12 chairs, but it was free. So
you just didn't buy a couch. You're like, if you'd like to watch TV, you can sit at the table.
No, it took up the whole dining room. It almost touched the walls, and I sat like 2 chairs like on the one side of the gap. I was like 2 chairs around this 12-foot table.
People come over, you're like, we're eating on pillows tonight.
Yeah, I think when I moved, I left it there.
That's like our couch. Oh my gosh. When we move, we're just going to have to leave that there.
Yeah, we had to take rails off of the staircase.
Yeah, it's on the second floor, and it was an absolute nightmare. But
it was a nightmare.
But anyway, so we were shopping for mattresses.
Yeah, back to mattresses.
We told Bree that we were going to get her this, and it was hilarious because I called, sometimes it's so funny, like working with people these days. Like I called Mattress Firm because we had worked with them before and had a great experience. And this guy was so funny. He's like, I'm brand new. Like he kept calling me back. I was
felt like he was making his first mattress sale.
I really did. And then at first I was like, can I please speak to someone who knows what they're doing? And then I was like, I want to be Paul's first sale. I started to like the guy. I was like, I feel for you. So anyway, I was asking him, well, what's the discount right now? And he's like, well, I'm not really sure. It's a new system. Like, I'm going to have to find out. And I'm like,
we're like, what did we pay?
What's
2
the
years
retail
ago?
price? He was like, well, I don't really know. And I was like, Paul, what do you know? When can we get the bed? And then I ended up we did end up buying this bed. Chris is absolutely baffled.
I'm baffled at the cost of a mattress. And then they try to charge us for the box springs. I'm pretty sure that they give those to you if you buy the bed. And there's free shipping and free arrival and free takeaway. And
says the man who also just claimed 5 minutes ago he's never purchased a bed. But.
Well, I just remember those. Here's what I remember: free.
That's all you just thought.
So I thought the bed was like $100.
You thought just a king bed was going to magically show up at the house and we would have been good to go. Yeah. So anyway. we ended up purchasing the bed. I gave the guy all my. Then the funny thing was, I called the guy in the middle of the afternoon, like to have these conversations, and there we are. It's like 8:00 at night. He's calling back. He's like, "Hey, I talked to someone, and there's like something else I have to change." And
like
then,
his mattress room open at 8:00.
I know. And then I ended up giving him my card details over the phone. And then an hour later, he calls back again. He's like, I guess I'm not allowed to take that information over the phone. He's like, I'm going to need you to pay via the link online. I was like, okay, man. So anyway, we're getting a new mattress. And then it was like this epiphany because we had ordered the mattress and I was like, we don't have any sheets.
Yep.
We don't have
we
a
don't have any
comforter.
comforters. And we totally didn't even budget for that.
No. So
because
he
this
was
is rushed. Like, let's go back to the beginning of the story. It's like, we actually weren't planning to get a bed. We knew we were going to get one in the future. But we thought it would be when she graduated, which is in December.
Right.
So, this thought
and
was
good for
in
her.
our
She's
mind.
getting in the apartment early.
But he's like, you know what? It doesn't make any sense for me to be like, I'm going to be staying here after I graduate. Let me go ahead and invest that money, get an apartment, start getting set up. And so that I can, because that's the other thing is that the summertime, she'd have to do something. She'd have to go get something temporary. She'd have to come home. She'd have to bounce around, but her job is right there in town. So this year it was really about getting set up.
Yeah, no. And it will be really good for us. Like as much as this is an investment, it's something that we wanted to do anyway. And you sometimes snore. And so I'm super excited.
Yeah. Going from a queen, I think you add like 8 inches or something like that. Or that's just nice. A little bit more inches away.
I never thought I would care about that kind of thing, but it does make a big difference.
It does make a big difference.
Saving relationships one king bed at a time.
No, seriously. Like when we go on trips and we're staying, most of these places have either 2 queens or a big king, and we try to get the big king.
Yeah, definitely.
And 2 things happen. One is that we're further apart. We end up getting a little bit better sleep. I think it's mostly because we're on vacation, though.
Yeah,
and we're not dealing with like the day-to-day stuff. Everyone's chill on vacation, so we do sleep better. And then you sleep on the for some reason you commandeer the other side. Like,
he gets
I don't know
so
why we
annoyed
switch.
with me. It's like if we get to a hotel, it always depends on where we are. If there's a bathroom close to a side, or maybe there's an ocean view. Like it really depends on which side just feels more appealing in a hotel. But I always switch it up on him, and he's like, "This is not the side of the bed that you sleep on at
right,
home."
because
and
I have to sleep on the side
"You're
away.
messing me all up." I know.
Yeah, I have to point away.
Yeah. But anyway, because he's forced. I always am like, roll over.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he always gets so annoyed with me. And the other day, we were both talking, and I said, well, I think I grew up sleeping on the other side of the bed. And he was like, I think I did too. So we realized in our relationship that we're both on new sides of the bed for the first time. And so when we travel, sometimes it switches up.
No, it does. It keeps everything lively, I guess, is a bare minimum. So
keeping life exciting.
When let's kind of talk about the budgeting of that. Like, so when people are looking for an item like a bed, for example, or what's the other thing that's on our list? Renovating our closet. So our closet is really nice. We have these. They're not wire shelves, but they're like a little bit nicer wood, kind of like shelving, but it's just that one tier. And we would love to see some cabinets in there to kind of put some of our stuff away on the top rail. I think a lot of people, they just kind of start throwing and piling, clothes and boxes and helmets and boots and, all that stuff that you don't normally wear all the time. And so it finds its way on the top shelf. You have tons of hats. You have purses up there, just stacks of purses. Well, maybe like a small stack.
I know. I have like a couple purses. Don't get too excited, but
yeah.
I'm not really a shoe or I'm not really a clothes person, but we do like organization.
But that's one of the things that like we're saving up for. So like hopefully one day we'll be like, hey, renovation for the closet. We got it. We hit that number that we're looking for. And so, we kind of reprioritize in this case. So the next thing that was on our list was to put the closet in for renovations, but the whole bed thing came up.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, now we're going to spend a little bit different, and it's actually more money than what the closet was supposed to be.
Well, and I do think it's especially because we were changing sizes, or again, if you're changing like a color scheme, are you thinking about the area rug? Are you, it's like there's either you do it like one step at a time and you're okay with like the room not being completely set up the way that you would want it, or like have a full theme or scheme. Mm-hmm. But this bed did throw me for a loop, because it was like after we ordered the sheets and we ordered the comforters, and we ordered the mattress pad. Well, but hold on. Then it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, we had already gotten the bed frame And then the other morning I was like, we need pillows. We don't even have king size pillows. It's like everything.
And here's the problem. See, I think a lot of people, they would have no issues. Like, oh yeah, pillows. We'll go, we're going to go to Walmart. We're going to go to Wayfair. We're going to order a couple pillows. But the problem in our case is that we grew up totally different. You see, whether it was growing up at my house or being in the Army, I could sleep on a dirt floor. And I could use an Amazon box for a pillow. Probably.
Well, you used to be able to.
Yeah, I could. And then, but see, you grew up,
my
and your
mother,
mom,
I blame her. It is her fault.
We're gonna blame her.
But I didn't know at the time, and like I said, there's certain things in life people choose to splurge on or not splurge on. You didn't even know a pillow was capable of costing this much, and by the way, neither did I. But I grew up, and my mom had us sleeping on just clouds. I mean, they were amazing. They're like 100%.
What are they?
They're like 100% goose down pillows. And
yes.
They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing, and they're like quite expensive. And I remember the first time I asked my mom,
I would be like, why does your pillow look like it's floating? And my pillow
it was always
looks like this rock sitting over here. Like, why does it look like that?
I know. And so anyway, when I very first asked my mom, because I was for years I did sleep with a good pillow, and Chris had his own flat little thing. And then one year I thought, oh, I should get him a pillow. And I asked my mom, and she sent me the link, and I was like, holy shit, you spent this much on a pillow.
So you're 34. At this point in your life, you had never purchased a pillow. Your mother had bought you pillows. That's not
true. That is not true.
I don't know. I feel like that's the story.
Well, I don't know.
32?
It was always a Christmas present or something.
I just
didn't realize how nice it was.
The investment in these pillows.
I purchased pillows.
So now we're at a whole other thing. We're going to have to save up for months.
For the pillows.
Pillows.
I think we will move to Amazon. It'll be okay. We'll survive.
We'll survive for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely going to be a little bit of a transition period.
But budgeting for renovations is important. And the other thing is, like, a lot of people, I mean, whether it's a new build or a new house, it truly is like the essentials of the furniture that you're going to need in that house. Where's a couch, a TV. It's like getting you don't realize how much is in a home, like how much you're going to need. And I remember, I already told you about the card table, but then that was an apartment. When I got my very first actual house, I didn't paint the walls. I didn't put a picture on the wall. I didn't do anything. It was just like slowly but surely, okay, one day I'm going to upgrade my card table to an actual dining room table. One day I'm going to get a bed frame that's, a little bit nicer and upholstered. It was like really over the course of time, and it was saving.
Absolutely. There's a couple great places to get things like bed frames and stuff. Like, obviously the headboard is what a lot of people invest in.
Yeah.
And then they got the metal frame that holds it. Now, some of those headboards come with like the nice little padded sides, and it's kind of like the built-in frame.
All around, yeah.
But if you're getting started and you're looking for bed frames, I mean, there are some cheap places like the Restores and like these other places where they clean things out and they're there, and for like $20 you can get the bed frame that you need.
And if you're Chris or anyone else in the world, I mean, I know a lot of people use it, but Facebook Marketplace has all kinds of stuff. I joke around. What are those memes where it's like, best case scenario, you're getting $5 for your lamp. Worst case scenario, your entire family gets murdered. It's like,
I like to live on the edge.
You certainly do.
Yeah. I love Facebook Marketplace.
I know.
I like to sell things there. I mean, $8 is $8.
I have sold one thing in my entire life on Facebook Marketplace, and it was like a little piece of art. And I shit you not, I did not care about the money. I literally told them an address down the street and told them it would be sitting underneath the mailbox. And I just put it on the ground and told them to leave the $5 under a rock.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's probably a little bit. The question is, were you watching them with binoculars down the street?
No, I honestly didn't care. I was like, if you take it for free, you can take it for free. I've done that before. Put a bunch of stuff on Craigslist just to get it out of the way, or take it to Goodwill.
Yeah, we do some Goodwill runs. But, like I said, we're going to do the spring cleaning, and we're not going to be going to Goodwill. We're going to be giving Bree pretty much everything, like with some extra pans too. That we might have.
Yeah, over the course of time, I'm not a hoarder at all, but it is really important to pay attention to the things that you really want and make sure that you understand what you already have. And whether or not you're using it, maybe you do spring cleaning and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had this, but I would actually use it all the time. Or it is an opportunity to give things away to people who could really use them.
You know, I was looking at a couple things in the cupboards during Easter because I was opening things up, looking for things, and I saw things that I would love to use, and I just know I'm not going to use them. And I was like, okay, that's got to be the brief pile. I got to remember to go back.
I always feel like there's a rule of thumb where it's like, you know what, if you haven't used it in the last, I mean, I'd say 90 days, but sure, if you haven't used it in the last year, like, you ain't going to miss it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And I mean, people can get money for those things. You can sell things and do what you want to do. But we are doing some spring cleaning. I just got this amazing new cheese grater. It's like on a crank. Yeah. And so I was looking in the drawer the other day. There's like the hand cheese grater, and I thought I can give that to Brie.
Yeah. Oh, that would be nice.
It's a cheese grater. Brie will really like it. Brie is actually quite a good cook herself. We got her an Instapot years ago. We used to do something really fun where it was like every Monday night, one of us was responsible for cooking a dinner to kind of, you know, let her experiment in the kitchen.
Yeah, she's a young adult, so you know, it's like
it's important. She was moving off on her own. Yeah.
And by the way, she was in high school when we started that program, and it was kind of like. You know, one of those teaching moments, which was, hey, you're responsible for dinner, you know, whether it's your work schedule, whether it's balancing every component of life. We paid for the groceries. We did pay for the groceries. You know, hey, what do you need?
But she was learning how to cook.
But she's learning to cook, and she provided dinner for the family that night. And so it's...
But we got her an Instapot, which we joke is like her new best friend, because she was like the queen of slow cookers. Or
she is,
pressure cooking.
Like the millennial crock pot.
Hey, the one pot meals aren't bad.
Oh, no. And she was like the best at those. I mean, she didn't always do that, but that was definitely her jam.
For sure. And Chris, you're like the king of, I would say, overcomplicating. If he's like responsible for, this goes for anything in life. Like when I talk about decor for Easter, I mean, he turned our garage, which we now dub the banquet hall, into pretty much like an Alice in Wonderland. Like he put grass on the floor and like hung flowers from the ceiling, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, it was pretty incredible. Yeah. But he's the same. It's like anything that you hand over to him and you're like, okay, you know, it's your turn to be responsible. If it's like his name is tied to it, you bet your ass it's like going to be above and beyond. So he tried to cook these meals and he's like, I'm going to layer it. I 3D printed a thing that I'm going to put it in and it's going to look amazing. It was like, oh my gosh.
It did look amazing. So,
it did. It always did. You're a good cook.
You know, one of the things is like, you know, you kind of touch on it. I like to do a lot of things, get more stuff for the holidays and buy things. And one of the reasons why I love Facebook Marketplace is because in my own life, what I try to do is get rid of something. So it's kind of like if I want to buy something new and I'll get rid of something old. And so, you know, even when we were getting ready for the podcast series and stuff, and just here, you know, we had bought some lower quality cameras. And then, you know, Ethan on our team's like, hey, Chris, you got to upgrade. Like, we need you. We need something bigger and better. You know, and the very first thing I did was I went to Amazon. I was like, are these other cameras returnable? You know, like, because everything's about, you know, kind of keeping in that budget. And it's like one of those things where when you upgrade, you usually take that previous item and it sits on the shelf.
Exactly.
And it cuts
you need to pay attention.
And if you had just bought something and you're changing, you know, I would say, keep track of your return policies, keep track of how long you can keep something, because, you know, in that case, I think those cameras were a couple $100. They would just be sitting there and we would no longer use those.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I will say too, I mean, we love speaking of like getting decorations or making things nicer. When I was first growing up, I don't know if I thought it was necessary to spend the money on decorations for the holidays, but decorations don't have to be expensive, and everyone has traditions from when they grew up. And it's like, I found that not having anything over the holidays was so much more depressing. You know, I would have rather sacrificed a couple of weeks of going out to eat or getting, you know, cheaper groceries or doing meals on a budget, which you can absolutely do over the holidays. You know, even hosting people. It's like cook a lasagna, you know, buy some sauce and some meat, ground meat, and put some noodles in there. Like there are dishes that can be really nice. And it's all about just being together and making sure that you're paying attention to the time to relax and 100%. Take the time off work. So we really love that.
We did love that.
Do love that.
We do love that. Well, all right, everyone. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today on the Budget Banking Podcast. Hey, if you have questions about budgeting, about life, just doing things in general, about mattresses,
about men shopping and getting the wrong groceries, please.
Feel free. Hit us up.
You can relate.
Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram. Ask us your questions, and we'd love to answer them in future podcasts. Thanks, everyone.